Hello, I hope y'all are doing well. Welcome to the third week of the 3 week series in honor of American Pharmacist Month. I hope you have been learning a lot about medical writing and health content writing specifically. And if you had any questions about any of the previous videos, either any of the previous topics we've covered, please feel free to leave those in the comments of the respective videos or shoot me a DM. I always enjoy having deeper, further conversations with people about health content writing because I know it's a subject that's new to a lot of us. So today's video is going to be kind of an FAQ. It's a question that I receive a lot, and so I think it'll be helpful to talk about to a wider audience. And that question is, if I am an inexperienced pharmacist, an inexperienced healthcare provider, inexperienced in the context of writing, if I'm an inexperienced healthcare provider, how long realistically would it take for me to learn health content writing? How long does that process take? Excellent question, and we're going to answer it today. First, if we haven't had the opportunity to meet yet, my name is Megan Freeland. I'm a public health pharmacist by training, but currently working as a health content strategist and health communication specialist, have been doing so since about 2016, 2017. And I also run the Health Professionals to Health Writers program. That is an accelerator program that teaches US-based pharmacists and other healthcare providers how to replace a portion of their primary income, usually their healthcare provider income, how to replace a portion of that through freelance health content writing. I've been running that program since 2021 and am currently in the trenches with my 5th cohort and am enrolling for the 6th cohort, which is going to start in January 2023. So if you have not applied yet and you are interested in doing so, you can always comment right, and that will signal to me that you're interested in learning more or in applying. And so I'll shoot you a message with the details so that you can get your application in. And by the way, applications are going to be closing on October 31st. So if you have not started your application or completed the process, make sure you do that. So today, I want to answer the question again of how long does it take an inexperienced pharmacist or other healthcare provider to learn health content writing? And as you can imagine, a part of that answer is it depends. But I'm going to give you some context around that answer of it depends. So, what does it depend on? It depends on the individual, your circumstances, the time you have available, your background, your awareness of even just a little bit of medical writing or even just a little bit of digital marketing, like how much of that background information you have. And all of those factors differ from one person to the next. In my situation, before I transitioned into health content strategy and health communications, my background was in public health pharmacy, but specifically in writing and communications in public health pharmacy. However, what was different then from now is that I was primarily writing for a traditional scientific clinical medical audience. So I was in drug information, I had been in regulatory writing, I had been in medical information, I had been in like manuscripts and publications a little bit. It was primarily geared towards a clinical audience. When I learned that writing for a patient audience, a lay audience, a consumer audience was a thing and was a pathway that I could do, that kind of lit up some light bulbs for me because that is what I perceive to be my strength and my greatest interest. So when I stumbled into freelance health content writing, which I've talked before about how I stumbled into that. If you go to the Health Writing for Health Professionals YouTube channel, all my past videos are there, so you can learn more about how I kind of stumbled into this. But when I did, even though I had that background of traditional medical writing, I still had to learn the new skill set that would help me flourish as a freelance health content writer because the skill sets are different. The approach is different. So I started that journey in about 2016, 2017. And I would say I was obviously able to get a client, right, very early on. So this is a key, is that I was able to get a paying client before I actually felt like, excuse me, before I actually felt like I was incredibly grounded in my role as a health content writer. So that was very early on in the process. And I would say that it probably took me about 6 months to feel like I really knew what was going on. And then it probably took me another 3.5 years to feel like I had a true set of expertise um, and authority as a health content writer. So the reason that why I share that personal experience is because when you say how long, or when you ask the question of how long it takes an inexperienced healthcare provider to learn health content writing, it really matters how you're defining that word learn. When you say learn, are you talking about the foundational steps, like the bare bones, the basics that you need to know in order to become a health content writer? Or are you saying, how long does it take you to be able to demand like a true authority in the space or be recognized as a true authority in the space? I imagine that most people are asking about the other end of that spectrum, like the bare bones, the foundations. How long does it take me to be able to have enough information, skills, knowledge, experience to be able to work with the client, right? And that time period is much shorter than what it took me. So a part of the reason why I've said this before, I probably said it in the last video, but a part of the reason why I created Health Professional Sales Writers is because as as um as challenging of a process as it was for me to figure out how to transition from traditional medical writing into freelance health content writing, right? Someone who already had a writing background, who already had a writing background in the medical and healthcare space, who had lots of different experiences in with that writing background. As challenging as it was for me to transition into freelance health content writing, I knew that for other healthcare providers who had none of that writing background, it would be even more challenging, or it could be even more challenging. However, what I believe is that there should be more healthcare providers who are in the health content writing space. I, especially as a pharmacist, I was one of very few health content writers early on, and still am, honestly. Um, I was one of very few health content writers early on, and I didn't understand why in a field where people were producing um, what is essentially patient education in a way for the general public, why there weren't more healthcare providers who were a part of that. And I believe that there should be, which is why I wanted to create this program, because I knew that if we are relying on healthcare providers to, on their own, transition into health content writing, the likelihood of that happening was very low, because the barrier to entry and the ability to learn all of, or the need to learn all of these different skill sets and experiences and perspectives and et cetera, it was too great for people in a significant proportion to do that on their own. And so I built Health Professionals Health Writers as a condensed program, basically taking all that I had learned in my initial 6 months of learning, in addition to the 3.5 years that it took me to like hone and refine and trial and error and all of those things, condensing that into a program that any inexperienced healthcare provider could use to make that transition on their own. So basically serving as the guide that I did not have when I was in your shoes as an inexperienced as a healthcare provider who was inexperienced in health content writing. Now, when I first ran this program for the first 1 or 2 times, it was only 3 months long. And those students are some of the like best performing students who have graduated from Health Professionals, Health Writers. Like, they're doing amazing things, the people who were in that container for 3 months. I then later extended the container for the accelerator to 4 months, and those people are also doing wonderful things. And this next cohort, starting in January 2023, as well as the second cohort that will happen in 2023, those cohorts will both be 6 months long. The essence of the curriculum has not changed, and the length of it also has not changed. What's changed is the amount of extended support that happens after the curriculum is complete, as students are working to secure their first clients, as students are learning how to take everything they've learned in the program and then figure out how to apply that structure and that consistency to their lives so that it is baked in, and when they have completed the program they can more easily continue um, the skills and the skills they've learned at the pace that they learned them. So really thinking about like how long it takes an inexperienced pharmacist or healthcare provider to learn health content writing, you could say 12 weeks, right? You can get those foundational phases, which I'll talk about in a second, the core phases of the curriculum, mastered in 12 weeks. But to have more, to have a wider amount of time to really dive into those concepts and master them, 6 months is a very reasonable time period. And within that 6 months, kind of like we talked about in the video about the 5 essential resources, making sure that those 5 essential resources are a part of that process, making sure that you are getting the didactic information, the experiential opportunities, and also the coaching and mentorship that you need within that 6 month period. Because it's not just about the time, it's also what are you doing in that time period? Are you getting the information and the opportunities to practice that you actually need within that time period? And so within health professionals, health writers, in the curriculum phase and the didactic core, students are getting that foundational information about what content writing is and how it fits into the broader spectrum of marketing. They're exploring their niche options and deciding what writing specialty they want to identify. They're building their portfolio. They're learning all of the business systems that they need to move forward. And they're also getting the mentorship and the coaching based on my 6 years of experience in the industry to help them along the way. And then one of the things that I don't often talk about publicly, so if you happen to be listening to this, you're lucky because you're getting a little inside scoop, is that the students who come through the program who really demonstrate commitment, they're doing their work on time, they are getting comfortable being uncomfortable, they are putting themselves out there even though they might not feel ready to do so. They're following all the steps. They are demonstrating their intentionality and making this not just like something fun to do or something to check off the box, but something that's really a part of their professional trajectories. Those students I'm able to refer when I get companies who are coming to me for content writing support and I don't have the capacity to serve them. So I'm able to make introductions to the students who come through the program who are really committed, because another thing about being a health professional who's a health content writer, that's not just something I want to see more of. That's also something the market wants to see more of. A lot of people come to me for health content writing because I have a healthcare background. And so when I say, oh, I don't really have the bandwidth or the capacity for this, they want to know someone else with my similar background. There's plenty of health content writers I could send them to, but they want to know, well, do you know someone who's also a pharmacist? Or do you know someone who, is a healthcare professional who could support us? And so I'm able to help make those connections and those introductions for really committed students who come through the Health Professionals to Health Writers program. And that just speeds up the learning process, because as much as you're learning in a program, the real learning starts to happen when you start working with real clients. And if any of my graduate students are listening to this, or students who have graduated are listening to this, y'all tell them in the comments that I'm not lying, right? That the real work starts when you start working with real clients. So as you're able, the quicker that you're able to get on your feet as a health content writer, the sooner you're able to build that portfolio, the sooner you're able to start building connections with companies and start securing clients, the faster your learning process progresses and the stronger of a health content writer you continue to be. So hopefully the little hazy answer of it depends is not as hazy now, and you kind of have some context about the things that it depends on and what you want to be looking for. As a reminder, if you are interested in applying for the next cohort of health professionals to health writers, please comment right or shoot me a DM. The program is only open to US-based pharmacists and healthcare providers right now, and applications will be closing on October 31st. So I'll be talking to y'all soon, and looking forward to closing out the rest of this last week of the American Pharmacy